Hey, what's going on? It's Wes here, aka Seahawktopmist Prime. This is the Seahawks Times. A lot of people are telling me this is one of the fastest growing, not only Seahawks channels, but NFL channels on YouTube. And people are just loving what I do here. And I'm not here to stroke my own ego. What I want to tell you guys is this channel is for everybody. It's Seahawks focused. We talk a lot about that, but you can learn about not only the Seahawks lineage, the 12, what it means to be a Seahawks fan, but we talk about football in general and just something we all share a passion for. This video is intended to be a little bit different than a lot of my content. What I want to talk about is the sentiment of a true Seahawks fan. I consider myself a real Seahawks fan, been involved with this team for over 30 years and just obsessed with it ever since a child. I followed everything about it, but it's a healthy obsession in the way that I really just respect the boundaries of me as a fan versus what it is to actually play this game at that elite level, sacrifice your body, the sacrifices it takes from going to a youth all the way to a man in a game which could just be so unforgiving, and the chances of making it to the NFL are so slim. I look at this as a battleground, a chess match, coming of age stories, so much amazing and beautiful stories that come out of the NFL, and a lot of pain as well. But I look at this with all of the high drama from a very sincere perspective as a football fan. And yes, for me, it's the Seattle Seahawks. That's what I follow. That's who I really, really love to watch play football. And I love what the organization stands for and what the fans stand for. Here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, where I was born, you know, I grew up in a lot of different cities, but I have my roots here in the Pacific Northwest, where my mother is from. You know, I do have Irish lineage as well, in the Midwest of the United States, a lot of Canadian lineage, you know, and my father's from sub-Saharan Africa, around the Congo area. So I have a lot of different roots and a lot of upbringing. But what I love about the Seahawks fan base is just that diversity, not only culturally, but where we are from. Canada, you've got Washington, you've got Oregon, you've got fans and transplants from the Northwest, all over the United States, Europe, original fans in Europe, in Germany, in Africa, I'm finding out, in Australia. And I shouldn't be surprised by any of this stuff because this is a special team and something that kind of emanates a special vibe. And if you're 12, you know what I'm saying. That's not just brainwashing or manipulation. That is just what we feel and the swag we carry as Seahawks fans everywhere we go. Because a lot of us are kind of love that underdog theory, that kind of just tenacity and that kind of unsuspecting kind of power that comes with the Northwest area, Alaska, just very powerful places. You know what I mean? And this is just really cool. So I just want to explain why I started the channel. I started the channel to talk about football with like-minded people who really like to dig into the game. There's a lot of amazing channels out there that are really blowing up in the sports world and NFL world specifically, and now underground channels do a great job of bringing exciting content to our fan bases. So that's what I wanted to do, is create a channel that was really just unique and original with my own style. But what do we feel as Seahawks fans right now? We feel elated. We feel a feeling of, like, you know, being the underdog again, but so quickly having this turnaround happen by this team, this organization, and this draft that we just had. We feel really excited and confident right now. But we're going to go into this with more of a humble mindset, because we even saw a team that really peaked out as one of the great teams, yes, that early Super Bowl run team for the Seattle Seahawks. We see the genetic makeup of that team in this draft class that we have and some of the pieces we have already in this team. And those pieces specifically, the young players, Boye Mafe, Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant, Kenneth Walker III, Abraham Lucas, and of course Charles Cross, as well as a lot of other young players that we still had on the roster previous to this, which like Kobe Parkinson, Trey Brown. We're talking about a team here that is very unsuspecting and very sneaky. And Geno Smith, as well as he's playing, as mystifying as he's playing right now, it's kind of like, not, I wouldn't say smoke and mirrors to why the Seahawks are a scary team. It's just one part of a miracle level story of a franchise and team and philosophy that believes in itself enough to make sure that the team and the fan base and the culture is bigger than the individual. And that's not shade at Russell Wilson. It's just that the Seahawks were never built as a one-player team. And what the Seahawks were able to do, the front office there, was learn that, you know, you're not going to win with Aaron Rodgers alone. And if you're going to win with Tom Brady in a new situation, he has to have a prime Mike Evans and a prime defense around him. That all has to be a perfect storm if you're going to win that way with these bought-and-paid teams, with veteran quarterbacks and players on huge contracts. And I'm not saying these players shouldn't get theirs. Get yours while you can. I'm just saying that that's not how these, you know, you look at the Cincinnati Bengals come up with, you know, high school buddies, basically, Jamar Chase and Burrow there and get to a Super Bowl level. Yes, they had a rounded team, but Chase and Burrow, you know, and a nice player in Higgins and a lot of underrated defensive players, but they made a run to the Super Bowl, you know, and those guys are on rookie contracts. And it reminds me of what the Seahawks were able to do, but they had a more established defense in place. Now, I don't know if we can get there necessarily 100% with Geno Smith, but I believe they could just because of how freakish this season is right now. But when things come back down to earth, do you have the depth? Do you have the star power to make those plays and those catches in the key moments? Now, if the Seattle Seahawks aren't there right now, because what they're doing right now is by a lot of people considered to be unheard of and unthought of territory, starting 6+ rookies and just, you know, having, you know, the number 4 or 5 ranked scoring offense at the time of this filming. Maybe by the end of the season, it's the number 1 ranked offense when DK and them get healthy fully. That's just mind-blowing. But what I think is with another draft, with a lot of players wanting to come to Seattle now, specifically as the other teams are kind of falling out of grace in the West. Yes, including the Niners, who are still in a place, I think, a desirable destination because the Bay Area is fantastic. But you got low income tax in Seattle, and there's just a lot of reasons why this team is trending up. So I could see a lot of veterans, a lot of really good players in their prime, like the Uchenna Nwosu, maybe wanting to play for the Seattle Seahawks, aside from all the draft capital that they already have. Now, Geno Smith, you'll say Geno Smith is Geno Smith. It's a short run here, only over 7-8 games now, but yes, Geno Smith is playing as a top 5 QB in the NFL right now. And, you know, I won't front. Like, that was not even close to how I thought this would pan out. I thought Drew would not only beat him in camp, but excel. And this was the one thing I think on my channel that I was really not correct about. And a lot of people weren't, and that's okay. But I was really right on some other really random stuff that I did a lot of research on, and I was correct. So part of my humility here is just, I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I don't care if I'm right or wrong about any of the stuff. All I want to be is, you know, be intuitive about it, be intriguing about how it's explained with authenticity to how I believe that will portray itself playing out in the games. And I'm happy to be wrong if it means the Seahawks win games on any single topic. So as a Seahawks fan right now, I really just think that we have entered a new window. If it's not a Super Bowl window, a window of opportunity in which the Seahawks can take advantage of a weak NFC, a lot of teams floating to find their way, not only with like their culture and what they are, just in the sense of, you know, we've got a lot of really, really special young players, not just good young players. And a lot of fans will say, that's homerism. We got this person, that person. You don't have 7 or 8 people in one draft, including undrafted free agents that are starting really, really well in a competitive, up-tempo, high-scoring NFL. You know, not a lot of teams do, if anyone, other than the Seahawks, have that right now. With another full re-up of draft capital, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, all the momentum and some other picks that we haven't given away yet, that in a draft, I don't care what you think about next year's draft, we're going to get some really, really serious players out of that. And we don't have a ton of needs. So maybe we don't stab early at QB in next year's draft. We just look for value position. If the Denver Broncos happen to give us a top 5 pick and we have the capital and there's a, you know, a QB hungry Carolina and a QB hungry who knows who else, even a Houston feels like, hey, maybe we can get a Stroud, they can get a Levis over there. If Seattle's looking at a guy like Will Anderson or even a Jalen Carter, who people will try to say is overrated, you know, if we get a dynamic player of that nature and they can still get a quarterback to maybe tutelage underneath Geno Smith and Waldron's wing, we could have a KJ Jefferson, an Anthony Richardson, a Cam Ward. You take your pick. Tell me who you love. we might enter a Super Bowl window, and that is something that people would have thought was insanity the day they saw the trades, the trades pop up and the memes of Russell Wilson leaving Seattle. That wasn't that long ago from a chronological perspective. But me, I like to put it all into reality here, and I think more than anything, I'm excited to watch exciting up-tempo football again, which isn't predictable, and that I get to watch a young, explosive team just try to just not only win games, but really dominate on each down and distance and possession. I'm grateful for that as not only a Seahawks fan, but an NFL fan. I think Carroll and Snyder are once again trying to revolutionize how this game is seen by going back to speed and obscene, freakish players that they just hope hit. And even if it takes 10 years to hit again from the last time you did it, they did it again. And that's what I see of a Seahawks fan. And what I'd be wary of if I was a fan of another team, to think if a person like me is talking to you as a homer or just a true NFL football fan that would tell you all the great things about your team and your fan base and how I see it in its reality, even if it's just my opinion, I think the Seattle Seahawks over the next 5 to 10 years are going to be as good as any team out there in football because of just believing in themselves to find talent organically and not hang on to the past. Because, the future is all that matters in the NFL, and it's a week-to-week league. And, I think that this philosophy of just looking towards the next game has stuck with the Seahawks, and whatever Holmgren was able to do to revolutionize, how this team was going to be seen going forward, taken over by Carroll, has truly created a pseudo dynasty, even if it's not about, even if they haven't hoisted the Lombardi as many as other teams, they've created just a real culture now for a young franchise and relative to your Green Bays and those teams are there. This is 1976, in this short amount of time, the world is starting to take notice of a franchise and an organization that runs with great integrity. And if you're a Seahawks fan, drop me a like, a subscription. I just want to tell it like it is. I know I rant sometimes, but as a Seahawks fan, I am absolutely over the moon right now, and I'm so freaking happy that this team decided to do what they did, and I get years and years and years of exciting football again for me and my family to enjoy without wallowing in despair, thinking we're a stagnant franchise. And I'm just so proud, man. I'm just so proud of the Seahawks for listening in themselves, people like Geno Smith for believing in themselves and just believing in their talent and their craft and coming together as a team and humbling themselves to once again be one of the top teams in the NFL so quickly like that. Va-va-voom, like Houdini out of nowhere, the Seahawks have come and created magic. And, shout outs to everybody there. I know this was a bit long, but I just wanted to tell you how I feel from the bottom of my heart about this Seahawks team right now. Go Hawks.